Welcome to the Driveway Beers Podcast with Mike and Alex. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the show. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share on any platform that you're listening on. All right, welcome back to another show. We appreciate you listening, as always. Want to thank our sponsors, Cheers and Spirits in the Arnold Station Plaza in Arnold, Maryland. Like we've always said, as far as wine selection goes, even though it's not a huge store, but they have a great selection of wines there. And the best part about it is for me in particular, I don't know a lot about wines. And so when I go in there, I ask the person at the front desk, like, hey, look, this is the event I'm going to. I need a bottle of wine that isn't going to be complete shit, but I don't want to spend $50. Like, my price point's $25, $30. What can you find me that's going to taste great? And every single time, they always find me one that I'm looking for. And then I always hear back, oh, that was a great bottle of wine. What was it? And of course, I never know, right? I have no idea what I gave them. But the good news is, though, is that the people in Cheers and Spirits, I guess they just understand that you want to give a good gift, but you don't want to spend a ton of money. Or maybe you do want to spend a ton of money. I'm sure that they have those high-priced bottles there.
And they'll also find you good stuff at the $8 price point, which is where I like to reside.
Yes, very much so. And then, of course, they picked our winner from our Worth It bourbon episode, where we checked 5 different bourbons from 5 different price points, and they helped us pick out that Bibb and Tucker that actually won. And so, they're just extremely knowledgeable over there as far as drinking the adult beverages. So, if you're like me, I'm a very indecisive person when I go to drink, and I'm trying to pick out something new. Like, I know I want to try something new, but I don't want to waste my money on something that's not going to taste very good. So I always ask for help, and I've never been steered wrong there. So head over to Cheers and Spirits in the Arnold Station Plaza in Arnold, Maryland, right across from the big old CVS and behind the McDonald's, right off of Ritchie Highway. And we also want to thank Brian Schilling with Long and Foster Real Estate in Annapolis, Maryland. You can check his website out at AnnapolisHomeExperts.com. By now, you know the story. Brian was my real estate agent when I bought my home. He got me in the house before it went on the market, the day before it went on the market. Was able to negotiate a price under asking even before it went on the market. Knew the background of the sellers and knew that they had already purchased the home that they wanted to move into, and they needed they had a priority on a guaranteed sale versus getting more money. He happened to know this because he knew the real estate agent because of his connections in the area, and he was able to convey that. Now, we didn't lowball him. We only offered him like $5,000 less than they were asking, because that's what the house was worth in our opinion. They accepted. We closed in 30 days. They got to move in their place. We got a house where we've raised our 2 daughters, got into a neighborhood we like, and couldn't have been more thankful for him for his guidance on the whole buying process. More importantly, though, there was a house. We were looking at 4-bedroom houses, and we went and looked at a 3-bedroom house because we wanted to go see it. And we went there and we walked around the house. And we really liked it, and we were about ready to put in an offer, and he said, don't do it. He goes, 1, they're asking too much money. They'll probably get it, but in your situation where you don't need to move, you don't need to make this move. You don't need to pay more for a house that has 1 less bedroom than you actually want. He goes, wait it out. The house you want with the number of bedrooms and the square footage you want will come around. And so it wasn't just him guiding us through the purchase of a house. It was guiding us through the process of finding the right house. And that was very important. So go to AnnapolisHomeExperts.com and talk with Brian about your home buying or selling needs. Now, today we're going to talk about cars, because we haven't done a car episode, I want to say 3 months.
It's been a while.
It's been a long while. And I want to give an update on the Yukon. I have put the Yukon up for sale.
Pulling the punch it out.
I am
pulling the ejection
out.
handles.
Now, I regret it already. But if someone offers me my asking price, I will take it and move on. But I regret doing it already. Like, I had a guy offer me, I think it was $1,500 less than what I put it up there for.
The current?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was an immediate no.
Yeah.
If he would have come up to like, so I got it listed for $6,500. Now it's got $177,000 on it. It's up there in mileage. But the interior is pretty immaculate on this thing, and that's when these things the interiors are what go. And they rust, but this one doesn't have any rust either.
Especially the leather.
Yeah.
The cloth interiors seem to hold up better.
Yeah.
But the leather on those seats, especially the front the driver's seat, just, I mean, that, you look in the one, you're like, I mean, even the ones that only have, 100,000 miles on it, just look ate up.
Yeah. The leather cracks.
It rips.
Yeah. It's really, so this one has no cracks, no rips. It had some scuffs on one part of it, and I re-dyed it.
Yeah.
And it came out good. And I re-dyed the steering wheel. Mm-hmm. I looked up how to do it, which surprisingly for an old vehicle, that worked really well. I was able to get close to a color match of what it was. I sanded the steering wheel, which you wouldn't think to do. I wet sanded it. Which you would think would just scrape it all off, right? But it didn't. So I wet sanded it, and then I took some simple green degreaser, and I sprayed it on there to get all the grease off, and then I wiped it down with rubbing alcohol. So now it's clean. Mm-hmm. Once you do that, you'd be surprised. Like if you have a slick, older steering wheel, that's like, everyone knows what I'm talking about. It's like the old leather gets really slick.
Yeah.
That's just oils from your hands that are stuck in the leather. If you degrease that, those will come out. Mm-hmm. So if you have one, even without the scuffs or the marks or anything, if it's just slick, hit it with some simple green. Don't wet sand it, but hit it with some simple green. Let it sit for a few minutes. And then make sure you wipe it off before it stains the leather. And your steering wheel will be almost like brand new. Mm-hmm. It's a little tip out there for you people. But anyways, that's what I did with that. I put in a wireless Android Auto Apple CarPlay head unit. I put in some Rockford Fosgate door speakers. So I'm not ghettoing it up, but I'm getting close there. Like I haven't put the 20-inch rims on yet, but that's I'm getting antsy. It had some paint issues on the outside, and I spray canned them, which I was really nervous about doing. Mm-hmm. But so it's not like the old days where you got the spray can and your finger in the trigger. So now they've got this thing that clamps out of the top, and you pull like an actual like trigger, like a gun trigger, and it's almost like you have a spray gun now. It was really neat. And so I got some white enamel acrylic from Rust-Oleum. I taped off my area. It was the tape it's got the tape and like the expandable plastic garbage bag that comes out.
Okay.
So you literally I did 4 tape lines and then just extended it all, and everything was taped off.
That's cool.
And so I got up on a ladder and I just started spraying. I put about 4 coats down because I was at bare metal at this point with no primer. So this enamel acrylic paint from Rust-Oleum is supposed to be primer paint all in one. Mm-hmm. But there was no shot I was going to get it right with 2 coats. No way. Plus, I didn't do the best sanding job or the wet sanding job. I didn't do the best at it. So like you could still see the imperfections.
Yeah.
But I put the 4 coats on. And I did the rear hatch too, underneath the lip of the rear hatch. Now, mostly, I'm not doing it so it looks better, although it does look better. I'm doing it so it didn't rust, right? Because I'm at bare metal at this point, right? And lo and behold, like I sent you some pictures of it, and you can see where I didn't do my tape lines at the best locations, because you could see like the one toward the back, you can see that tape line, and the one over the passenger side, you can see. The one on the driver's side, I did it at one of the humps. Mm-hmm. Right at the base of the hump is where I taped it. I should have done that on the other side, because you don't notice it as much there. But there's no bare metal anymore. Now, you can still see where it was at bare metal and where there was still paint. So you can still see that, like the contour of it. I think if I went back and sanded it again and then repainted the area, so not sanded down to bare metal, but just sanded down to get it smooth.
Yeah.
And then repainted, I think I would get rid of that imperfection. But it's on the roof of the car. I don't care. I'm not looking at it. No one's looking at it.
Right.
Because I can't see above the thing anyway. It's too freaking tall. But now, it doesn't look nearly as bad from afar. And if someone were to look at it, I'd tell them exactly what I did.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to hide it. I'm just saying, look, I'm trying to prevent rust. It was, I mean, the paint jobs on those things were notoriously shit.
Oh, GM rot for them was just,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
anyone who's seen a, 2000s GM anything, because I think the primers didn't match the paint somehow, and in the curing process, you'll see them where they're just completely the paint's just gone.
Yep.
So,
but even with that, it's in really good shape. The engine has a little bit of an issue, but I've been to 3 mechanics with it. And the transmission, I went to a transmission shop and they said it was an engine misfire and not the transmission, right? Now, I'd already had a mechanic and I thought we had taken care of the misfires, and it felt like a torque converter slip. But they said it wasn't. The guy is one of those old school guys, seemed to know what he was talking about. Mm-hmm. So then I take it over to another mechanic, and he's saying it feels like a slipping transmission. But he said it's not bad enough because I can accelerate through it or decelerate through it. It's only at like 35 miles per hour, light uphill, light on the accelerator. Basically, you're trying to maintain your speed going slightly uphill, right? Mm-hmm. And that's when you kind of get like a little vroom, vroom, vroom as you're going up. It sounds like a torque converter, but whatever. The problem is to do a torque converter, it's $1,000 job to do a torque converter on this thing. Because it's about 800 labor, about 200 for the torque converter. Torque converter is cheap, but you got to drop the transmission to do it. If I do that, I'm about $2,000 away from doing a transmission and a torque converter. So it's like if I put the torque converter in, it doesn't fix the issue, then it's probably the transmission. I got to do it. So now, rather than it'd be 1,000 plus 3,000 for the transmission job, rather than just 3,000. Like I'm saving myself that $1,000 by just doing the trans and the torque converter at the same time. Mm-hmm. Before I do any of that, though, it's not bad enough. And that the mechanic said this. He's like, look, he goes, you can drive it like this for a year or two, especially if you don't drive that many miles. And I'll put maybe 4,000 or 5,000 miles on this thing per year. He's like, you could probably get a year or two out of this before the thing eventually fails, or maybe even more. He said, just drive it. If it gets worse, we'll be able to probably diagnose it better. Because right now, everyone's telling you they don't know. Mm-hmm. It's not showing up in the codes, and like the transmission's not throwing codes when they plug it in. So it's not showing up on the dash, and it's not showing up on their machine. The engine's not showing anything. So it's not showing up as misfires. Because the transmission guy said, well, there's some light misfires. I said, well, what's light? He said, like 3 or 4 per cylinder. Mm-hmm. He goes, it's not significant. He goes, I wouldn't even do anything. If it's the engine, I wouldn't even do it. I'd wait till it got worse.
Yeah.
He goes, you could drive this thing with misfires for 20,000 miles. It's not going to do anything to it. So I got 2 mechanics basically saying, wait until it gets worse, right? And then I kind of went, of course, I went on YouTube, I went online, I did all this stuff. And it's got that 6-liter Vortec engine. And I just looked, I was like, what's the minimum octane rating for that engine for gas? Now, there's conflicting reports out there. Mm-hmm. Some say that GM recommends a 91 octane, but it could run an 87. But this isn't like the newfangled engines, though, where the engines compensate for what you put in it so it doesn't knock. The older engines will knock if you put gas in it that it really doesn't want. Now, I don't have any knocking, but it could cause this issue. And we had mostly fixed it from the first mechanic. But he put 91 octane in it. So right now I got a half a tank left. I put some fuel injector cleaner in there. I'm going to drive it out, and then I'm going to fill it back up with 91. And I'm going to see if that changes it. Because if it does, I just solved my problem.
Mm-hmm. Then you can pull it off the.
I'll tell you what. If that ends up, I mean, I'm having a hard time selling it right now.
See, I wouldn't be selling it. I would be driving it and waiting for the transmission to fall out the bottom of it, and then I'd make a decision on what to do.
Yeah.
Am I going to get rid of it as is? Am I going to get? Because here's the thing: you're going to sell it, and we're going to get 3 feet of snow.
Right. Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So if you sell that thing, you can. You know what's today? What's the date?
9/21.
9/21 at 23:08 hours, 11:08 p.m. for those of you that can't tell time. If Alex sells this truck, we are going to get 3 feet of snow, and you can blame him.
That's right.
So stand by. We've marked it.
Maybe I can offset that by making sure my snowblower works. Because I haven't had that thing tested in 2 years. Because I haven't needed it in 2 years. It's literally just sat in my garage. So yeah, I mean, I had a guy that offered me $5,000 for it. I was tempted, but I'm like, no, because initially I listed this thing at $9,000. I was like, let me see if someone will give me $9,000 for it, and of course they didn't. And then I went down to $8,000, and of course nobody bid on it. And I was like, I feel like the $6,500 mark was the desperate move. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is the bottom I would have taken to begin with. I'm not coming off of this, especially after a week of it being on there.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, and then of course, so my wife's car had a brake issue. So we took that to the mechanic to get it. It needs an ABS pump. But I guess the pump was on back order. So it's going to be about a week. So now I'm daily driving this thing.
You've got a third vehicle.
Right. So that was nice to have the third vehicle. But now as I'm daily driving it, I've got the new Android wireless head unit in, so now I'm playing music through Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the sound system sounds great now because I changed out the door speakers. And I'm driving around. It feels like I'm 18 again with the shit car and the nice sound system. But now the car is extremely comfortable to sit in. Because I mean the leather it's a little bit like it stiffens up. Because it's old, right? But man, you sit in that seat and you sink into it. Mm-hmm. It feels super comfortable. And I'm just like, why the fuck am I getting rid of this?
My question since the beginning.
Yeah.
So, and I think when you text me and all this stuff, and I was like, what, to go get another 20-year-old GMT 800 with issues you don't know about? So,
yeah.
You know, to me, you've done so much into it and you've done so much to it and gotten into it so much. I'm kind of like, you're not going to find anything really any different unless you were to get, the XL or a Suburban.
And that's part of the plan too. And so I was talking to the mechanic, and he asked me flat out. He goes, "What do you have into this car right now?" Because he knew I bought it in February.
Yeah.
And I said, right now, with all the repairs we've done, and the radio, everything, 12.5. And he said, let's say the transmission's $3,500 to replace a transmission and torque converter. He goes, then you're into it for 16. And he just looked me dead in the eye and he said, can you get a full-size SUV for $16,000?
You can't get you can't get a quarter of one for $16,000.
And that's what he was trying to tell me. He was trying to tell me drive it, let the transmission die if it dies.
Yeah.
That was a big if. Because he's like, if you can drive this for 2 more years like this, just start putting some money away for it. You'll save it. You don't have a car payment.
Yeah.
He goes, it's a third car. You're barely going to drive it. He goes, use it for the thing you need it for. Why you got it, right? And he said, if you put a transmission in it and the interior is still in good shape, your paint's going to be peeling a little bit, but it's all going to work. Everything else is cheap to fix on this thing. He was like, you'll be into it for 16? And it'll be a brand new truck at that point.
Yeah.
He's like, that's just my 2 cents.
I mean, you're not even going to get so say you want to go to a dealer and buy a used Yukon XL Denali for 16 grand. You're probably looking at maybe a 2010 with a butt ton of miles on it. Who knows what it's been doing, where it's been, how many owners. At this point, you kind of know everything there is to know about it. I'm just like, let it ride. You know, you're already in. You're not getting the money you put into it back out of it.
Right.
Right now, you're looking at getting a little bit more than half out of it. So,
right.
I still say, you know, let's, keep it. And how I do with my older cars when I've had them is I just drive them until they die. And the last one that died about a mile from the house. So it was easy to take care of. The transmission issue as well.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish I'd kept it. Because a new transmission would cost me a lot less than buying a new car, which is what I did. But at the time, my situation was different. So I do wish I had kept the car, but, you know, it is what it is. And now here we are. Because I'm not impressed by new cars anymore.
No.
And the thing is, as a car person, as a car guy, I'm just not impressed by them. It's funny because like I'll see the old dude driving down Shore Acres Road with the old Mercedes, old E-Class, and the dude is probably a millionaire, lives in some huge house on the water somewhere. But the reason is because he's not pissing his money away on stupid new cars. You know, he found an E-Class that'll last forever because they do, and that's what he drives around in. Doesn't care. You know, at some point nobody cares, and
well,
you know,
you're gonna find this hilarious because you want to know my version of that car that I kind of want. Mm-hmm. It's the Lincoln Town Car, or Lincoln. I don't know the difference between the Continental and the Town Car.
Okay, so
of that era.
Yeah, so the Continental shared. I want to say it was Panther platform.
They both did.
Well, no, I'm sorry, not Panther. Yeah, because the Town Car, Crown Victoria, Grand Marquis were Panther platform.
So what was the Continental on? Was it
think
smaller?
The Continental was a little smaller.
Was it?
Shared a lot more with the Thunderbird Cougar, which was kind of the four-door version of that, because also at the same time, Lincoln offered the Mark 8, which is on my list of like a 90s Mark 8, late 90s Mark 8.
Was it a Town Car Mark 8? Or was
No.
the Mark 8 on
Lincoln Mark 8 was a coupe.
Oh, so okay. I don't do 2 doors.
Yeah.
I need 4.
Yeah. So, no, for me, like, I'd get like a 93 Thunderbird SC or a Lincoln Mark 8.
Yeah.
The Cougar, I didn't really like too much because it had the rear windshield. The rear window was straight up and down. And it kind of looked goofy. Yeah. But the Thunderbird I love the Thunderbird. And the Mark 8. So I'm going to look that up. I mean, Mark 8 may have been Panther, but I remember it was a smaller, lighter car. And the Continental was a smaller, lighter car.
See, I'm bougie, man. I like the Lincoln versions. I know they're the same.
Well, no, but the Mark 8 is...
The Lincoln, yeah.
The Lincoln version of the... they call them personal luxury coupes.
Yeah.
Which they kind of fell out of favor. Like, now, rather than a personal luxury coupe, everyone drives a pickup truck. Like, that's right. Dad's car is a pickup truck. And the funny part about it, I saw a neat infographic about pickup trucks and how the proportion of cab and engine to bed has, like, flipped. So trucks used to be 60% bed and 40% cab and engine. And now they're 60% cab and engine and 40% bed. And most of these douchebags aren't putting anything in the bed of these trucks. They're not hauling stuff. You know, the days of if you want an 8-foot bed, you got to buy a work truck. Though I almost bought a F-250. I'm glad I didn't because it was a 6.3, which a 6.4, which is a complete pile of garbage. 6.4 diesel, but crew cab with an 8-foot bed. The thing was enormous.
Yeah.
And
You're not parking that.
now my wife would have had to drive this thing from time to time, and she would have played bumper cars all over the place in this damn thing.
Which is fine for your car, but you'd owe everyone.
Just go to the shopping, like to the supermarket, and be like, okay, how much money do you want? Like, first let's find your car. Right. It's around here somewhere.
It's underneath mine. Oh, sorry,
because it just got punted.
Right.
Like, oh, your Mini Cooper got punted.
Well, wait, I found it. It's between my wheel wells.
Yeah,
that's how small you are.
Or it's in the bed of my truck.
Right. You need, no need to call a tow truck. I'll just put it in the bed. It's fine. I'll lift it up in there for you.
But now the pickup truck has kind of replaced that, and but some of those, like the Chevy Monte Carlo was a personal luxury coupe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have always liked the Mark 8, and the Continental was always a good looking car.
I was always a fan of that, the Lincoln Town Car, but there was a certain set of wheels it came with.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like a concave wheel. And I wish I could remember, like, it's almost like a starburst pattern, but it was like concave. It looks so good on that car.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that we're talking about 20-year-old cars, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
So a lot of those luxury cars had the steering wheel audio controls. So you can literally, and you can do what I did with the Yukon. You put in an aftermarket head unit, retain the steering wheel controls. Now you've got a car that's as modern technologically as any car you would buy today.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have the nannies. You don't have the lane departure. You don't have the thing screaming at you if you're riding somebody's bumper too close. You don't have the thing that pushes you back in your lane, which is annoying as shit. You don't have the auto stop start, which I can't stand.
Yeah.
You have all the good tech with the luxury of a car where you sit in it. It's a fucking Barca lounger.
Yeah.
Everybody's comfortable for the ride.
Yeah.
But none of the shit.
Right. And like, the 95 to 02 Continental was actually front wheel drive, and it was based on the same platform that Taurus Sable in the Windstar.
Oh, okay.
And then if you went to the 8th generation Continental, which was actually not as good looking version, still Taurus Sable Windstar.
So front wheel drive.
Yeah. So yeah, because it says layout FF, so that's front. Yeah.
I'd be interested what the Mark 8 was then.
So the Mark 8, which is going to be my next query, that was rear wheel drive.
I'll be interested. I wonder if that used the Panther platform, but they just did a 2-door version of the 4-door town car.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to, and this is where one of the few things where I find Wikipedia to be like accurate
really
with cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, front rear. So the platform was the Ford, the FN10, which was the Thunderbird and Cougar.
So not the Panther platform though.
No, Panther is town car was the big one. So
just a smaller rear-wheel drive platform then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but bigger than a Mustang.
But I think they put the same engines in it. They use the 4.6 liter V8 in them, in all of them.
Yeah.
Unless I wonder if the Lincoln's got a bigger one.
No, it says for 4.6 liter V8. Huh. So, and that generation was 93 to 98 on that Mark 8. And I remember the dashboard, like everything curved towards the driver.
Yep.
You felt like you're seeing like a little cockpit. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they're super cool. If I could find one that was, the problem is you never see them anywhere. It'd almost be a cool car to have at Cars and Coffee because they're just not there.
Because you know why? Because all the mechanics bought them.
Yeah.
Every mechanic I know either drives a GMT 800 or a Ford Panther platform. Mm-hmm. Like they all have them.
Yeah. So now there's a little dealership down in Edgewater that I pass when I take the kids to school.
Caddyshack cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they have 2 town cars sitting down there.
Do they?
Yeah.
Like recently?
Yeah. Ooh. Like one's maroon. See, I kind of to me, a town car needs to be either black or that white pearl.
Oh, I like that maroon.
Do you?
Yeah.
Down there for you. It's sitting there. And that thing is indestructible.
I may have some plans for tomorrow for myself.
Because let's not forget, the Panther platform is what the Crown Victoria is built on, which police departments have been using for years, and those dudes beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
So, and all the taxi cabs, they're, I mean...
But here's the thing though, if you find one with like 90,000 miles on it, you know it wasn't a taxi.
Oh, no.
The taxis always have like 400,000 miles.
You know it wasn't a police car either.
Yeah.
You know, a Lincoln
wouldn't be,
Yeah. But, you know, the Crown Victorias, but they're pretty easy to determine the police. Plus, it's, if you look at the VIN code, you can see.
If I end up going down there and the thing's like $6,000-$7,000 for that town car, if I come home with it, you may have to protect me from my wife. But I'm not saying I won't come home with it. I'll deal with the repercussions.
Yeah.
I have 4 cars.
Right.
Like she's like, she's gonna be like, what are you starting to collect? Because another one I want one of this. I want the 2nd gen Navigator.
Okay.
So the first one looked sloppy to me. Mm-hmm. The second one was almost the same body, but they put a little bit bigger wheels on it. They put the running board, like they made it a little more elegant.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the next generation, which had like the 2 boxes in front of like the driver and the passenger.
That's so dumb.
That looked retarded.
And then like the radio got covered up by some plastic door.
Yeah. So
Why'd
it's
they
not
do
that. It was the one before that.
Yeah.
Where it shared a lot more with the Expedition stuff. Mm-hmm. But I thought the front end on those things just looked awesome.
Yeah.
The Aviator had a very similar front end, even though it was like an Explorer extended.
Yeah.
But it had the front end of the Navigator that just like it looks so elegant. And I had an 04 Aviator. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing, it's very similar to the situation I have now with the Yukon. I thought I had a transmission issue, so I traded it in and got something else. I've regretted that decision.
See, and you're getting ready to go down the same path.
I know.
You're going to regret it. Don't do it unless you go down there and buy a town car.
Well, but then there's reason to get both.
But then you're going to get both of them.
Oh no, I wouldn't sell the Yukon. And I think I'm trading the Yukon in to get the. No, I want the Yukon and the town car. That's what I'm saying. You might have to protect me from my wife. Oh,
should I have the downstairs couch ready?
Yeah, yeah. I might be staying around for a while.
Well, one of the couches, the love seat, is actually your old couch. So,
it'll be familiar.
Yeah, yeah. The other one though, the sectional I got from someone in the neighborhood, they put it on Facebook, so I went and grabbed it. So there's that one.
So what you're saying is there's room for me to sleep.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
There's even a blanket down there.
Yeah. I think if I brought home another car, she might kill me. Because she knew I had this problem when we got married.
Right.
That I like cars.
Yeah.
And I like to swap them out often. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of rolled with the punches. Because I mostly haven't changed out her car.
You're not messing with her stuff.
Well, not a lot. But I have. For her, like I found it. Oh no, it's 6,000, isn't it?
No, it's 7,900. But I'm sure you can talk it down.
I could easily get that down to 7.
It's got 134,000 miles on it.
Let me guess. It's immaculate inside.
It's a 2011.
Oh,
which is the last year they made them.
Yeah, that means all the problems got worked out by then.
Yeah. Let's see.
And probably no.
And it's maroon.
And it probably has no cracks in the seats. Is it the light tan interior?
Yep.
Oh, does it have the wood on the steering wheel?
It does.
No. Oh, no. Okay. All right. Steering wheel controls?
Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's see here. God. Yeah. It doesn't have nav or anything, but I don't think they ever put it in.
No, they never did. Wait, that's a $600-$700 thing I put in.
Yeah.
I can do it myself.
It has like the round analog clock on the dash. The electronic, like the little green digital display for the climate control.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ooh, the back seat's nice and big. Yeah. You can kill some miles in this thing.
Not that we're making pornos over here, but I'm about to. I might end up finishing over here. Keep describing.
You want me to fill out your name?
It has like every option I want, and it's clean on the interior.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Was that clean on the inside, clean on the outside?
Because that's the problem with the older cars. The interiors get beat to shit. So when you
I
find one that doesn't,
actually like these wheels that are like the. So I'm not sure how many spokes it has. Actually, it probably has. So it's like the 12 spoke, but they're like flat. I'm gonna send it to you. I shouldn't have done this. So I'm sorry. I'm going to apologize that I contributed to this.
my disease.
Yeah.
You attributed to my vice.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So, but yeah, you're gonna.
Because think of it this way, though. Eventually, these cars are just too old to own, and I'll never be able to own one because they don't make them anymore.
Right.
Yeah, of course, they make a Yukon now, but the Yukon now looks like a bloated barge.
Right, and then the inside is that. First of all, why does everything have to be a sports sedan? It's a full-size SUV. Yeah. The seats don't need to be rock hard. It doesn't. Yeah. And then they have screens everywhere. The interiors are like 90s and early 2000s cars were just like nice, you know? They didn't have screens everywhere. If it had a screen, it didn't dominate everything. Isn't that nice?
Yes. Don't mind me. I'm just be over here. So
is there? Oh, there's a rag right there.
Don't mind that noise underneath the table. Oh man.
Yeah. See, I love those rims. See, I like those.
See, I don't like those.
You like the ones that are like the concave.
Yeah, they're from the older model.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not from this model.
I bet you could probably find some, though.
Oh, I probably could. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on now. We found some cracks. Oh, no, it does have the... All right, so the steering wheels beat the shit.
Yeah, but you just figured out how to fix that.
I did. I didn't. I just explained that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't have learned how to do that. I don't see a picture of the driver's side seat on the edge. I don't know if they're hiding it. Like I can see like the front part of it. It's definitely cracked. So this thing might not be super clean on the interior.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like there's a sunroof either. I might have to pass on this one.
See, I'm not a big sunroof guy.
I don't use it. I just want to know it's there.
Both of our cars have them. We never use it.
Yeah.
Every now and then, if I drive, so like I'll take the boys somewhere to Fusion, and we'll roll all the windows down and open the sunroof and blast some music and have fun.
That's the best.
But
that's the best.
That's rarely because I don't really ever drive that car. So, and then the van has the sunroof and that thing. I open up and my wife's like, "Yeah, it's letting too much sun in." So, it's a sunroof.
Speaking of a Sienna, I did see a 2009 Sienna with like with the second row that had the leg rest.
Oh, the limited.
Yeah. They said it was an XLE, but it had the second row seats had the recliner feature.
Yeah.
Where the leg rest comes up from underneath. Had about I think it had 110,000 miles.
What they want for $20,000?
9.
Really?
I look. Now that car prices are starting to come down, this is like the worst case scenario for me, because now the cars that I really want are now back in my price range, and I'm just like, oh man. Not that look, a Toyota. Like, you've got a Toyota Sienna.
Yeah.
You probably didn't want the Toyota Sienna at first, right? It's a minivan. Nobody goes there me. I see that thing.
No 12-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid goes to the book fair at school and comes out like a boss with, a Goosebumps book and a poster of a minivan.
No.
It's a Lamborghini Countach.
But those vans, man, it wasn't the Dodge, it wasn't the Plymouth Voyager that was tiny as shit. Those Siennas were big and long, and they soft and cruise. And
we got rear-ended in our minivan. Well, my wife did. I wasn't there, but we hadn't even owned it for a year yet. So it goes to get fixed. The loaner we had was a Pacifica, and I felt it was small.
Yes.
Now, a buddy of mine has a Pacifica that's it's got like every option. He's got like red leather seats in it. It looks cool.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's still a Chrysler product, and I'm still leery of it. So growing up, that's what we had. I remember we had a 89 Plymouth Voyager that was the short version, and it didn't even have window tint on it, so it was like a fishbowl. And then that died, and my parents bought a Dodge Grand Caravan. The only reason they bought it from this particular Dodge dealership is because they were driving the Voyager, and it made it to that dealership and died. My dad's like, "No, we're buying a car here." And he parked it, and like they went out to evaluate the trade, and like, "Oh yeah, we'll give you whatever." And he's like, "I'll take it. Yeah, sure, whatever." And they kind of looked at him like, "You don't want to like?" He's like, "No, I'll take it." Like they hadn't gone out to start it yet,
Right?
Or move it, which it wasn't going to do.
Your dad's like, "No take backs."
Yeah, see ya. So yeah, like that's probably one of the only times the dealer got screwed. But we had them, and they were okay, but it was still like the 96, like that was classic 90s Chrysler cab forward, like the ridiculous tacky cloth seats, and but it was a Grand Caravan, so it had more space in it.
Yeah.
But now I will say, having owned a Town and Country prior to the Sienna, which is why we bought the Sienna, because the Town and Country got destroyed in a flash flood.
Right.
The stow and go was awesome.
Yeah.
Like to just be able to flip the seats down with the Sienna, I can flip the back seats out of the way, but the middle row I have to remove. Now they're heavy, but I have no problem with them. If my wife had to move them by herself, she'd probably have an issue, especially the left-hand one, because the left-hand one is the left seat plus the cradle for the little jump seat that turns it into an 8-passenger. So it's a heavier, lift. But I'd pull them out and just put them in the front yard and then do what I have to do and then, go about my day. But, yeah, it's, I'll tell you what, though, if you want to kill some miles, I'll kill miles in that Sienna, just like you will in your town car.
Until
it dies.
Because they can't figure out what the problem is.
Yeah, so
I think I'd be more apt to keep it if they can just be sure of what the problem is.
Yeah.
I just don't like not knowing.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you just have to let things, at least it's not an airplane.
True.
Where like it stops running and now you got to land somewhere
now you
quickly.
Well, so you're going to die.
Yeah. But no, I think it's fun. I'd keep it. But the town car, if that's something that's been on your bucket list,
it's kind of there.
The thing is, like, I love that vintage car.
Yep.
90s, early 2000s, before everything became try and pretend it's a sports sedan, and then just tech. And, of course, EVs. We all know how I feel about EVs. But I don't want to get in a car and look at different screens. And all they do is brag about their tech. Oh, it does this, it does this. First of all, half these fuckers don't know how to use any of that shit anyway. I don't use half of it. Like the voice control, how come we are still in, so it's 2023, and you push the voice command in the car, and I'll say, call my wife. And it's like, call Spizzico? Like, no, I don't want a pizza. Actually, I kind of want a pizza. Right. That's not who I want to call right now.
It knows what you want more than you know what you want.
And then I'm like trying to, and it's like just getting shit wrong.
Yeah.
Voice, it's dumb. I don't need the car to do all this crap for me and order me theater tickets like they show in the commercials. Like, oh, I see you're driving by the theater. Do you want to go to the theater? Oh, sure. I have $400 I can piss away on seeing a dumb, oh, let's park. And they show like the smug looking people like, ooh, and they look in the rearview mirror like, I'm so tough and cool. But I don't want all that shit. Like, I like an analog radio that I'm not going to use, but actual switches, not pushing a screen. On the Fusion to change where the AC comes out, I have to go into some menu on the screen. What happens when the screen stops working?
Right.
You know, the even now where the analog gauge cluster is, it's all screens. The new Mustang, you can make it look, now it is kind of cool. Like you can switch it to like a Fox body appearance, so it'll look like the gauges did in 94 Mustang GT or 92 Mustang GT.
Right.
You know, but again, it's gimmicky nonsense. Most people are just going to leave it set on one thing. So, you know, I don't need some stupid crossover or a Corvette SUV, which they're coming out with.
Well, let's talk about that. Because the only one thing I'll say on the other thing, with Android Auto, the voice recognition on that thing is amazing. Like I'll get in the car, I'll hit the button, and I'll say, navigate to Chick-fil-A. And it just, because based on my location, it will navigate me to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Or I can say, navigate to, and I'll say like my father-in-law's name. Mm-hmm. And it'll navigate me to his address. Like, I don't have to type it in. The voice recognition with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay is the same.
Yeah.
That tech, like someone did the car company's work for them. Why are you now trying to make me deal with this inferior product you have?
Yeah.
When if you allowed for wireless Android Auto or wireless Apple CarPlay, they did it. They cracked the code.
You wouldn't have to do any of it.
Right.
And so, like, the Town and Country, I think Chrysler system's called Uconnect or something.
Yep. You connect with
Chrysler
and Dodge.
In order to change a cell phone out, you get a new phone, you couldn't connect it Bluetooth just manually through menus. You had to use the voice activated. Mm-hmm. So, like, to add a new phone, say, add new phone. I'm like, okay, add new phone. You know, and then it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Dude, let me just do it.
Right.
Like, why am I going through all this bullshit that I can very easily just go and pair it? Like, I can pair my watch, my headset, every other device that's paired via Bluetooth is so easy except you.
Right.
So,
and the one system that I don't know who got paid to figure this one out, but the Mazda system, because we rented a 2022 Mazda CX-9 when we went to Buffalo for a wedding.
Oh, the other sports sedan crossover.
I don't get the hype for those things. I'm sorry. Like, I think we talked about this a while back when we actually rented it. The user interface for that center screen sucked. It was not intuitive at all. Like, my wife usually knows, she can. Like, I'm fairly tech savvy, but she can figure out all this shit pretty quick. And even she was like, I don't know what the fuck to do in this thing.
Yeah.
She goes, this is stupid. Like, it had like the dial thing, and then it wasn't touchscreen, even though everyone's used to fucking touchscreens. Now yours isn't a touchscreen, so I can see it right there. I can't touch it and make it go back. I got to figure it out through this stupid fucking dial
that rotate, that spins.
It spins,
and then you can move it side to side, and then press it down.
But
and then certain things to select it, you press it down, but other things you push it forward or left or right.
And that was one, like, just trying to connect my phone and use Android Auto was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so it was funny that, like, in my Chevy Equinox, it's like 2 steps and you're connected and it's ready to go. I'm like, that's how it should be for all cars. Like, stop making your shit more complicated. The phone does all your work.
All the brains are in the phone.
Yeah.
It's like casting to it's like a monitor. Just treat it like a monitor. But I also don't need the monitor to take up a third of the dashboard.
No. Well, I mean, you know what's going to happen, though, and they've already talked about this. You're going to have to pay a monthly fee for features in your car.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be operated through that screen. Mm-hmm. So, like, you thought you purchased a car with heated seats. Oh, well, for $3.99 a month you did.
Yeah.
You get heated seats for $4 a month. You want lane departure assist? $5 a month. Mm-hmm. Like, that's where this is going.
Yeah, Toyota's already doing it.
Oh, yeah. They're going to implement that further, though.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I think we talked about this before, where, like, if I just spent $100,000 on an S-Class, there is no... So if I had if I had that kind of coin to drop on the car, I easily have the $14.99 Mercedes-Benz Connect or whatever sort of bullshit they market it as. But at that point, if I already spent $100,000 on the car, I shouldn't have to spend another $14.99 a month to use my heated leather seats, or to be able to use the navigation system, or to be able to do all this stuff that you said it could do. You know what? I'll go buy the 04 S-Class, which looks better anyway, and I'll just rock the hell out of that thing. I
love that S-Class, by the way. That year S-Class.
Oh, yeah.
The 04 to 06.
Yep. Like, and I'll get an 04 E-Class as my daily. Like, there we go, done, screw you. And that's where I'm getting to the point now where when these cars, so first of all, that Sienna, I'm going to drive it till the wheels fall off of it. If I need to replace it with a big vehicle to fit everyone in, I'm going to go and look for an old Suburban, an old Yukon, something like that. And screw you people, because when you look at the cost of these vehicles now, to me, there's no value in it. So some ad popped up on my phone for, it was advertising new Ford, an Explorer. So a Ford Explorer, not an XL, not crap, like not a Hertz special, but like one that has actual stuff you'd want. It's like $58,000. I'm not spending that on a mid-size SUV.
That has a ton of problems.
Yeah. So I'm not doing it. So I'd rather spend $5,800 on an old truck so drop a new engine, drop a new trailer. I'm still nowhere close to $58,000.
Yeah.
That the second I drive it off the lot, it's worth half what I paid for it. I'm upside down on it for 5 years. It's not worth it to me. You have an $800 a month car payment. Like, is this a mortgage or is this a car payment?
I mean, you think about it this way: you spend $7,000-8,000 on one of those old cars.
Yeah,
you're right. Even if you drop an engine, transmission, so add $5,000 for both, not each, for like total. Okay, so now you're into it for 10, 11, 12.
Yeah,
you're still miles ahead. As long as it's rust free and the interior is in good shape, everything else is replaceable and it's cheap to fix.
Yeah.
That S-Class, the new S-Class, if you need to fix that, that's a $4,000 bill just to fix, like a shock.
Yeah.
It's a $4,000 fix. A brake job is $1,000.
Yeah.
An oil change is $400 on an S-Class. One of our friends has a BMW. He told me he pays $200 for his oil change, and this is it was on like an 06 BMW.
Yeah,
and he's still going to the dealer. Like, dude, stop going to the dealer.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, Jiffy Lube will take care of that for you for $87.
Oh yeah,
and it's the same fucking oil. But I mean, it's just. But then we're talking about other useless stuff, though. I mean, you were talking about that Corvette SUV.
Yeah.
Ford did this with the stupid fucking Mustang Mach-E. I've said fucking like 50 times in this. I do apologize for that, but I don't. So, Ford, like they're taking these moniker names, and they're
iconic names.
Sorry,
you could go to the middle of the desert in Iraq and find somebody like, hey, do you know what a Ford Mustang is? And I guarantee you they'll be, oh yeah.
Yeah.
In some iteration of it, whether it's a 65 or what, everyone knows what the Mustang is.
But now they came out with the Mach-E Mustang, which is an all-electric SUV. Like, why is that a Mustang?
Yeah.
Because you put a Mustang badge on it?
Right.
It shares nothing of the heritage of a Mustang.
I'm a Mustang.
Right. right. I mean, you're literally like one of those kids. Like, you're one of the kids that went to school and says, "I'm a cat."
Yeah.
No, you're not a fucking cat. Well, that's not a Mustang.
Right.
So guess it's even. Well, now and then you were talking about the Corvette SUV.
Yeah.
And there's a Lamborghini SUV.
A Ferrari
and there's
SUV.
A Ferrari SUV. No.
Yeah.
No. You don't get to make that shit. I'm sorry. There's no Corvette SUV. GM, you have 10,000 SUVs.
Right.
Call this SUV something else. Call it the XT5V.
Yeah.
You've got the V badge for Cadillac already. Use it on your SUVs, but don't call it a Corvette.
And when I'm looking at a picture of it, so Chevrolet had the Trailblazer, which do they still have the Trailblazer?
Yes, don't get me started on this. What Chevy did with the Trailblazer and the Blazer. They have both of them back now.
Yeah.
They're both fucking shit.
And the Corvette looks like a Trailblazer. Or no, not Trailblazer. It looks like a Blazer. So
you're going to turn an iconic name into a freaking Econo box SUV.
You're going back to 80s and 90s GM badge engineering. The Corvette was always left out of it. Let's throw the Corvette in there. So I'm looking at Car and Driver, and they're saying it's a Corvette badge performance SUV that they're excited about. Engine choices, you're going to love this. For a Corvette.
Don't tell me a 4-cylinder. Don't. Nope.
Turbocharged 4-cylinder.
Oh, fucking A.
On the low end, up to a supercharged 6.2 V8 in the top. So, and then it's in the top Zeo something performance model. We expect Chevy to reveal this controversial vehicle later this year. Car and Driver of old, when Brock Yates was the editor and John Phillips was writing op-eds and all this stuff in it, would have been shitting on this thing mercilessly. And they're here talking, and I'm like, why aren't you murdering this car? You should be destroying it. But they're just drinking the EV Kool-Aid too. Apparently, they're going to redo the Dodge Charger for 24, but it's going to be the Charger EV. Knowing the electrical problems that Chrysler vehicles have, now you're going to power it with it.
You're not going to get off the dealer lot before it breaks, and you got. Well, by that time, you've already bought it. So you're literally going to drive it from the dealer lot to the service bay.
Yeah. So then they're talking about power range from 455 horsepower for the 340 model, with the mid-level 440, which is blasphemy, calling it that, packing 590 horsepower, and then the Banshee supposed to beat every gas-powered Hellcat imaginable. Okay, that's fine, until it runs out of charge and you have to sit there for 40 minutes to an hour or whatever to charge the stupid thing. And how many launches do you get out of that?
And don't get me started on Dodge and naming their car levels now. Hellcat, Banshee, Jumperoo,
Scat Pack.
Like that shit works with one iteration of the car.
Yeah.
Now I don't know which one's the fastest now.
Yeah.
Is the Scat Pack faster?
Yeah.
Is the Hellcat faster? Is the Rally E faster? How about, or if I go to the Durango, is it the Crew that's faster or the Citadel that's bigger? Which, like, back in the day, and I feel like Ford and Nissan kind of got it right. For Ford, it was XL, XLT, and Limited.
Yep, and then you had
or maybe you had Eddie Bauer and then Limited.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. With Chevy, it was LS, LT,
LTZ,
and LTZ.
And then LTZ Premium was another one they added on.
But then you had SS, which you
knew the SS was the balls to the wall, big engine.
Yeah. So Nissan had the XE, the SE, and it was GLE, but then became the LE. So it was XE, SE, LE.
Yeah.
Like you knew where they all stood.
And then if it had an R in there for a lot of the Japanese cars, you knew that was the SCR, like the Sentra SCR.
Yeah, SCR for Nissan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Type R for Acura. Except then Acura had a Type A and then a Type R.
Then Type SH.
And Type S. It's like, you people fucking suck. I still have a problem with Chevy doing the Blazer and the Trailblazer. I'll pose a question. Equinox, Trax, Blazer, Trailblazer. Can you put them in order for me from smallest to largest?
Trax, Equinox, Blazer, Trailblazer.
You'd be wrong.
Really?
Trax is the smallest.
Okay.
Trailblazer is the next smallest. Blazer is the next smallest. And then the Equinox is bigger than all of them.
Oh, I went opposite. I was the smallest to biggest.
Oh, so you were saying...
I went smallest to biggest.
Right,
so
but you said Trax.
Trax is the smallest.
Yeah, and then Equinox.
Equinox.
Right. The Equinox is the biggest.
I thought what's the big mid-size SUV they have? That's the Trailblazer, right? Traverse.
Yeah, that's the big boy.
Yeah.
But the Blazer, I could see being smaller, but the Blazer was like a rugged, outdoorsy, like it was like the Bronco for Ford.
It was an S10.
Right. The Trailblazer.
In fact, the original Blazers were called S10 Blazers.
Yeah.
Just like the full-size Blazer was called the K5 Blazer, which then became the two-door Tahoe, which then just was dumped in just the Tahoe.
And then like the Trailblazer was the inline six big SUV, or big, yeah, it was mid-sized. And then they did the EXT, so you could do like the 3 rows in that thing. Like, if anything, Chevy should have either slotted it between the Equinox and the Traverse, or made it bigger than the Traverse on a car platform, because you already got the trucks now.
Yeah,
like the truck platforms, the Yukons and Suburban. You already have that, but you don't bring it back as a subcompact SUV.
Yeah,
you're just pissing on the legacy of that thing.
Yeah,
never mind the fact you're putting a 4-cylinder when the original had that super inline 6.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you couldn't beat those things.
No.
They're still driving out there right now.
Yeah. It would almost be like if Jeep came back out with not the Cherokee, because they still have the Cherokee, but that's the Cherokee Limited or whatever the hell, Grand Cherokee.
You want to get me started on that too?
They came out with the Cherokee, but they made it a crossover subcompact SUV.
Yes.
Which they actually, never mind, they did that and it sucks.
Right. But the naming convention for Jeep, no creativity. Cherokee, which is a car-based SUV and not what the original Cherokee was. Then
it's trail rated.
Then you got the Grand Cherokee, the Grand Cherokee L.
It's a Durango.
Then you have the Grand Wagoneer,
which is $100,000,
and then the Grand Wagoneer L, which is $120,000. Yeah. Who can afford that shit?
Who's spending $100,000 on something made by Chrysler?
I don't.
I'm not spending $100,000 on anything with a bow tie on it.
But that's the other thing. It's made by Chrysler.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, Stellantis.
Is that what they are now?
They're owned by Stellantis. Fiat owns it. It's all still Fiat, basically. But
Thanks again, Tony.
Yeah. So it's just like you're. Look, maybe this is the get off my lawn moment, but it's like you're ruining You're ruining cars for me now.
Yeah.
Which makes me not want to buy any of your shit.
Right. Even
though I have 2 of them.
Yeah. But so this is something that'll piss you off, which
I can't wait.
Isn't nothing that you or I would ever buy unless you are like part of the cartel. I don't know about it. The 2024 Ferrari Puro Sangue, which is a Ferrari SUV. Now, when Porsche started doing it, they came out with the Cayenne, and then they have the Macan or whatever, and the Cayenne came out at the same time the Touareg came out, and the Audi Q7, I think.
Yep. They didn't put the third row in the Touareg, though.
Right.
They put it in the Q7.
Now, the Touareg diesel was a beast. I remember I went to the DC Auto Show and sat in one, and I'm looking around and like there's switches and buttons. It was like you're sitting on the flight deck of a 747. Like there had buttons, like it had like an overhead console, switch console, right?
They had a version called the Executive. It was the Touareg Executive.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was a Porsche Cayenne.
Yeah.
Except you could buy it for a lot less.
Yeah.
As a VW.
So then they had the Cayenne, which you can get a used Cayenne for like $10,000.
Yep.
Now, would I ever own an out of warranty Porsche? No. But nor would I own an out of warranty the other two either.
Right.
But they have it and it's there. So they did it. Okay, whatever. But Ferrari and Lamborghini has the Ursus or whatever.
So
did you really need an SUV?
Which one is Lamborghini or Ferrari owned by VW?
Lamborghini.
That's why they did it.
Yeah, because remember the Audi.
They're literally taking the page out of GM.
Yeah,
and Ford with the badge engine there.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
Yeah,
and it's fucking shameful.
Yep.
You don't make a Ferrari SUV.
No. Enzo Ferrari is rolling around in his grave right now. So this thing, It's going to go up against the likes of the Bentley Bentayga,
Yeah.
Lamborghini Urus, and Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Now, the Bentley and the Rolls-Royce don't bother me as much because they're just making a big, heavy, obnoxious SUV as opposed to a big, heavy, obnoxious car.
Right.
What else?
They're not sports car brands.
No. Oh, there's the Hummer EV, which is just, it's stupid.
Hey, tell me a car that's not going to sell without telling me a car that's not going to sell. We're gonna take this name brand that people know from Arnold Schwarzenegger driving an H1 down California highways, and we're gonna make it an EV.
Yeah.
And think it's gonna entice the same buyers.
Right.
I don't. Unfortunately, these people don't realize right now what's happening with the EV market. Nobody's buying them.
Well, here's another one. Honda is now getting into it, and they were one of the holdouts. It's going to be a crossover. So
Don't they have the pilot? They have the Pilot back.
no, but this is
Not the Pilot. I'm sorry. Passport.
which is completely undistinguishable from the Pilot in every way, except it doesn't have a third row.
Right.
This one is the Honda Prologue, which pisses me off because it used to. Remember the old Prelude?
Right. Yeah.
A buddy of mine had one.
Oh, they did not do that.
I
just
love
put two and two together.
The Prelude, yeah. This is the
Prologue. Are you kidding me?
But it's a crossover and an EV. So let's add the two things I hate the most and associate it with something that I love, being the Prelude, which the Prelude always came out to introduce like something new, right?
My first car was an 85 Prelude.
And then, so the 80, I don't remember what they had new, but like then the next generation had like the 4-wheel steering. Actually, that may have been the 85. And then, so my buddy had the Prelude Type SH, which had some sort of handling stuff, and then also
super
had
handling all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That's when it first came out.
Yep. And
Which is amazing, by the way.
the car was cool. It was small, but it was quick. It was decent on gas. It was one of the, it had a, it had a VTEC heads. So like that was all pulling directly out of the, their F1 cars.
Yeah.
So that's what the Prelude is. It took stuff from, and that's why they call it the Prelude. Like, this is the prelude to what we're going to do next. And now every Honda has VTEC, and now everybody, so like my Sienna has VVTi. It's all the same.
Yep.
Just variable valve timing. That's all VTEC is. But it just there stands for variable valve timing electronic control, VTEC. But now they're making it an EV, which is just boring. There's a Lexus electrified sport.
Lexus and Toyota said they're getting out of the electric game. Now, whether they get completely out, I don't know. But Toyota does hybrids extremely well.
Yeah, they were the first.
And they sell a shit ton of them.
Yeah.
Until they start seeing sales decline a ton. And the only reason why, well, technically they are right now, but it's because they can't manufacture cars. And their dealers are screwing them over right now. But Toyota can't keep cars in stock. People are buying and waiting 8 months to get one. Mm-hmm. Now, once they get their supply issues fixed, for whatever reason, Toyota still has supply issues. Go figure. But people will buy Toyotas because Toyotas do one thing. They run.
Well, look at what Land Cruisers are going for. Try to find a used Land Cruiser somewhere.
Yeah.
Not Land Cruiser, I'm sorry.
Land Rover.
No, well, Land Cruiser, of course, but then 4Runner.
Oh, forget that.
4Runners are going for stupid money. Like $60,000 for, are you out of your, but that's just the market will pay it. You try to find a used one. So like, let me see if I can find like a 10-year-old 4Runner. And yeah, you can get one for $20,000. It's going to have 200,000 miles on it.
You want to know one that's even harder to find? And this is one of the same, but they're badged differently. The Lexus LX 570 and the Toyota Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
Try and find one of those without 250,000 miles on the market right now.
Yeah.
You'll find, I think I saw one, and it had 275,000 miles on it. And it was a little beat to shit. on the inside. Mm-hmm. When people buy those, and I don't want to stereotype, but I feel like a lot of immigrant families that own their own businesses own those.
Yeah.
They buy them. They make the payments for like the first 5 years. And when the payments are up, they literally keep them forever.
Yeah.
But that's why they buy those, because they know they'll run forever.
Yeah.
And they never let them go.
Essentially, it's like the SUV version of the Toyota Hilux from whatever country was driving around with a Soviet, BMP machine gun mounted on the back of it.
Yeah. And now they get the super luxurious version of it, and it runs forever. But yet you never see those for sale. Like I'm telling you, if you look for like an 05, 06 Lexus LX 570, because you won't find a newer one than that.
Yeah.
You might find one in a 50-mile radius.
Yeah.
And it'll have over 200,000 miles on it. Guaranteed. Same thing. Land Cruisers, there's even less of those, because now they're collectible.
Oh, yeah. And then there's the new one. But, I found another one. You're going to love this.
Okay.
Did you ever own a Maxima? You had an Altima.
I had an Altima.
But when you think Maxima, what do you think?
I think 6-speed manual V6 with a 3.5 liter. I think a 2001, 2002 with a 3.5 liter V6 manual.
And then this little sticker on the back that says 4DSC, which was 4-door sports car. A little sticker on the window.
So that's the older. That's even older than the ones I'm talking about.
So here we go. Nissan is preparing to launch an electric sedan on the same platform as the Aria crossover, and we think we'll wear the storied Nissan Maxima nameplate. However, it looks just like a freaking crossover. So are they turning the Maxima into a crossover?
The problem with this has been a problem for them for years with the Maxima. It's almost the exact same size as the Altima.
Yeah.
And the Altima was a lot cheaper.
Yep.
You just cannibalize your own sales.
Well,
they were trying to say, well, this is the 4-door sports coupe.
But then when they put when you get an Altima with the 3.5 liter V6,
yep,
and a much lighter vehicle, like
you basically you're trying to sell me a little different design version of the same car for $10,000 more. Mm-hmm. No one bid on that shit.
So they're 2025. They're going to bring back they're going to have the Boxster and Cayman, but it's going to be an EV. So no thanks. 2024. This is actually cool. The Ram Dakota. So it's going to be so everyone's going back to the mid-sized trucks.
The Dodge Dakota, yeah.
Yeah. But it's going to cost less than a Gladiator. But
here's the problem with all this, though. And this is for trucks in particular. So for years, when Ford stopped selling the Ranger, they got everybody accustomed to being able to afford an F-150.
Yeah.
Like you could get a base model 4-door F-150 for like $30,000. And that was an affordable truck. Had cloth seats maybe, but it didn't really lack too much in the department of like of niceties. But then they brought out then they brought back the Ranger and then the Maverick. And Toyota's kind of been doing this for years with the Tundra and the Tacoma. Mm-hmm. People realized that they could get away. They didn't need the full-size truck. For most of these truck guys that wanted trucks, the Tacoma was just fine.
Yeah.
And Toyota didn't make it look like a car. They had it it was lifted up like a truck, and it had 4 doors like a truck. The back seat wasn't super large. Whereas like the F-150 had like a huge back seat where like a grown adult could sit in the back and your knees weren't anywhere near the front seat. And then now what they did was, though, the F-150 is now like $55,000-$60,000 for the base. But you could pick up a Ranger for $35,000, for $30,000 to $35,000, and you could get a Maverick for $20,000, a Maverick for $20,000.
Yeah.
But in everybody's mind, they see the Ford is the Ford truck, the F-150 is the Ford truck.
Yeah.
I don't want a Ranger.
Yeah.
I want the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Toyota's got everyone thinking a Tacoma is still a full truck.
Yeah.
So Ford's got to get, and it's like Chevy and the Colorado. I feel like the Colorado name sucks.
Well, because the first Colorado sucked.
Right.
Had that garbage 5-cylinder engine.
They should have called it the Chevy S10.
Yeah.
That's when they should have brought the S10 name back. Was on that truck. Mm-hmm. And I bet you it would have sold a ton. But I mean, Chevy also has the Avalanche.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Colorado's smaller than the Avalanche, or they're very similar in size. But my thing is, get one mid-sized truck, call it the S10. Mm-hmm. Be done with it.
Yeah.
People would buy that.
Yeah.
The Colorado's got a shit name to it. The Avalanche has got that weird thing on the back. It's like I would love to know who, like, through the car development process, like, how do these dumbass decisions get through?
You're like, who signed off on this?
Right. Like, I look at that thing, I'm like, I would never buy that.
Yeah.
And, like, because of the stigma, it's like no one ever, like, it's like they didn't focus group any of this shit.
Yeah.
To see how people felt about it. Or they did, and they said, what the fuck do they know?
Or they didn't invite guys like us. They just invited a bunch of Gen Z douchebags too.
Yeah.
So this is going to be my ending. Okay. So this is the last one, and I give up after this because I'm done. When you think of the Subaru Impreza WRX STI, what do you think?
So I think, like, so my mind goes directly back to the older style WRX, which is a four-door sedan, kind of squatty, a little bit wide, like, not the super, like, STI that had, like, the fucking huge exhaust and shit, but, like, the WRX was, like, sporty-ish, was lowered, had the little bit bigger rims, had the doors that opened, that had the frameless windows.
So I see the one that I built in Gran Turismo.
Okay.
Which had a freaking nasty turbocharger.
Yeah.
Kind of boy racer-ish, but it's cool because it's legit.
We're on the same page.
Subaru Rally Blue.
Yep.
Right?
Of course, natural.
Gold OZ rims.
Yep.
Okay. Big wing. I'm not a wing fan, but I was cool with it on that car. Mm-hmm. Audibly, because that's part of a car, people don't think about, the hum of an EV to get your cockles going. They think of, like, the exhaust note of a Ferrari. Like, you don't need a radio because you just listen to that exhaust, right? That's what I think. I think of waste gates and the turbo, like when they hit the clutch, it does that, that's what I think of, right? Obnoxious.
Speaking of exhaust notes, before you go on, because the exhaust note on the WRX had such a good throaty exhaust to it.
And even though it was just a 4-cylinder.
But it sounded like a kind of like a gurgly V8.
Yeah.
But like a really low, like,
yeah.
Like it wasn't like
No, it wasn't a fart cannon.
No.
But then, so you have all that wastegate, Rally Blue, big turbos, a boxer engine, what I don't think about is plugging into the wall.
No, don't do it.
2028
No.
Subaru WRX STI EV.
No.
I'm done.
No.
I'm done with the auto industry. Get off my lawn. I'm done.
I physically hurt from that.
The Corvette SUV wasn't bad enough.
That was so bad though too.
Yeah. So
I wish we had video right now. Because the disappointment, I can't see my face, but I feel the disappointment showing on my face right now. All of those, they hurt.
Yeah.
You're just trying to tug on people's heartstrings
that hurt.
Love cars.
They hurt your soul.
And you do that to it. No,
yeah.
I get what they're. Oh, it's going to be as fast as a WRX STI. It's going to be faster. It's going to be faster, man.
Yeah, but you can't run the Paris to Dakar rally in it because there's no freaking charging station for it.
I hate to say it. Anything other than a Tesla EV, if your name is not Tesla, you do not have in demand electric cars.
Yeah.
You just don't. You're charging. And we talked about this, where GM and Ford are trying to tap into the Tesla supercharger network by using their charger. And they signed the deal with them. And yes, that might sell a few more Fords. But if I have that kind of money, am I going to go to the company trying to make electric cars, or the car company that makes nice ones that work well, that have the best, that have better technology in it,
mm-hmm.
and has been doing it for over 10 years?
Yeah. And here's the thing: if I have the money for that, probably have the money to have if I need a truck, a used truck. And everyone who has a Tesla also has a gas-powered vehicle.
Yes.
Because they still don't have, and they'll say advertised 300-mile range. They don't, because that's under optimal conditions. Once you, let's run the AC the entire time. Let's do it when it's cold. Let's put a load in it. Let's go faster than the speed limit, which if I can do 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, I'm going to. So I don't have a whole lot of faith in them yet. It's not there, but they're all jumping on this dumb bandwagon. And when you make a WRX STI EV, and then the color of the car, it's not even World Rally Blue or Subaru Rally Blue, whatever the color is called. It's white. So you just took what, for a lot of kids, especially now, we were, people of our age remember when it was like Mustang and Camaro. That was the battle. Well, people that are a little bit younger than us, they were too young for that, and they read things with, and maybe even our age, where it was STI versus Lancer Evo 8. That was the big pony car battle.
Yep. And
now you're going to take one of those cars. Well, Ford did it with the Mustang and made it an SUV. So, yeah. But
hopefully you like this episode. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Share us with your friends. Although maybe this may not be the episode if they're car people, because I'm frustrated now. I'm physically disappointed. But we hope you enjoyed the show. Please check out Brian Schilling with Long and Foster Real Estate in Annapolis, Maryland. AnnapolisHomeExperts.com. And Cheers and Spirits in the Arnold Station Plaza for your beer, wine, and liquor needs. Don't worry if you don't know what you want. If you want to try something new, go ahead and ask them. They've always been super helpful for us. We thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.